You have a dream. You're aware that you're here. I'm local in space and time in this moment, and I want to have this dream of going on a vacation or making millions of dollars or getting a perfect partner, whatever that is. And your brain naturally puts that vision of your future, and it estimates 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road. Why? Because you got to save money, you got to sacrifice, you got to work extra hours, you got to cheat a little bit, you got to lie a little bit, you got to compete a little bit. If you're matter trying to change matter, and you want this experience in three-dimensional reality, it's going to take a lot of time and energy because your brain's going to say, I know you. It's going to take a lot of doing back and forth until you finally have the experience. And when you have the experience, the emotion that's created from the experience takes away the lack or separation from not having it. So in three-dimensional reality, we create from lack or separation. You see someone with a sports car, you see someone with a wardrobe, and you look at it and your brain automatically goes, I want that because I don't have it. So we create in three-dimensional reality based on lack. And so the brain has the image, I want one of those, it puts it in the future, and then we have to work really hard. And for matter trying to change matter, we force outcomes, we control outcomes, we try to predict outcomes, we compete for outcomes, because there's only a certain number of resources that we can do in three-dimensional reality to get what we wanted. You can get really good at it after a while. You can get trained, you can get educated, you can learn from your mistakes, and sooner or later you'll be able to accumulate a lot of things that take away a lot of lack for a lot of people. But the question is then, does it make them happy? So I think sometimes it's a person defaults automatically and they go unconscious. We all do it. I think that sometimes people, they forget why they're doing it, or what they're doing has just become another routine. They haven't really thought it through and really said, okay, I'm doing this for this intention. I think people sometimes give up on themselves and that becomes a habit. They don't really get into it. They really don't really invest themselves, because they don't believe that they, on a deep level, that they can change. So there's a lot of factors. Some people would only do a short little meditation and think their life is going to blow up and they're going to be abundant tomorrow. It's unrealistic, right? If a person wants to be, let's just pick healthy or abundant, right? And this is their dream of being healthy or abundant. And this is the personality who's in lack or feeling unhealthy or is unhealthy. You got to agree with me, in order for this person to arrive here, they got to make a lot of different choices and do a lot of different things and create a whole lot of new experiences. So finally, when they become this person, they're going to change along the way, right? So some people really may not be honest with themselves to see if they're really changing, right? You know when you're really changing because you stop talking about it, right? That's when you know you're getting close.
But 99% of the people, they don't change.
That's true. A lot of people, default automatically back to the same personality. And they understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. If we can set up the conditions in the environment and give them the proper instruction, if they can get their behaviors to match their intentions, if they can get their actions equal to their thoughts, if they can get their mind and body working together, they're going to have a new experience. Now, experience enriches circuitry in the brain. That's what experiences does. The moment those neurons begin to string into place, though, another part of the brain makes a chemical. And that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And the moment you feel unlimited, the moment you feel grateful, the moment you feel empowered, the moment you feel whole, now you're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. The information is just not in the brain now. The information now is literally in the body. And now you're embodying the truth of that knowledge, of that philosophy, of that theory. So then you're teaching your body and instructing your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. Okay, so then that information that's coming as a new experience is changing your biology in some way, and we've actually shown this. So then if you've done it once, then it means you should be able to do it again. And the idea is to be able to repeat an experience. And if you can repeat it over and over again, both neurologically and chemically, neurochemically, you can condition your mind and body to begin to work as one. And when you can do it so many times that your body now knows how to do it better than your conscious mind, it's innate in you. It's an experiment, right? It's an experiment. Life is an experiment. So if your personality creates your personal reality, and your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel, if you keep thinking the same way, you keep acting the same way, you keep feeling the same way, your life is going to stay the same because you're the same. So the experiment is, okay, let me begin to think differently. So I got to remind myself how I do want to think, and I have to remind myself of how I no longer want to think, so I don't default and go unconscious. Let me remind myself how I'm going to behave so that I could actually get my behaviors to match my intentions. And let me remind myself of how I'm going to feel. If I'm able to succeed in that day, then there should be some change in my life. It's the experiment. And if it doesn't change, that doesn't mean the law doesn't work for you. It's just you're not that good yet. You just got to keep practicing, right? So the act of disconnecting from your life long enough to remind yourself of who you do want to be and who you no longer want to be, that experiment then is the experiment called life. So 95% of who we are by the middle of our life is an unconscious set of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that are automatically programmed into our biology. So the first step to change is not thinking positively. You got to become conscious of those unconscious thoughts when you decide to make a different choice and it doesn't feel familiar. The thought that says, start tomorrow, it's too hard, just do it anyway, go ahead and make that choice, do the same thing. You're not good enough, you'll never change, you're too much like your parents, I failed last time. You have to be able to become so conscious of those unconscious thoughts that you would never go unconscious to that thought ever again, and that's change. You'd have to catch yourself, how you speak and how you act. If you want to be happy and you're blaming and you're complaining and you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're judging everyone, those behaviors are not going to make you happy. They're actually going to make you unhappy. So you got to become so conscious of those unconscious habituations that you wouldn't go unconscious and behave that way. And then, of course, you got to look at those emotions that are pretty much chemical residue from the past. And decide, does this lack, does this suffering, does this pain belong in my future? And that process of becoming so conscious that we don't go unconscious is the process of change. And how many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That's the moment of change. So the hard part about change is when you decide to make a different choice, get ready. It's going to feel uncomfortable. There's going to be uncertainty. You're not going to be able to predict the next moment. It's going to feel unfamiliar. So if the body has been conditioned to be the mind, then the servant is the master. So the body starts sending information back to the brain to think a certain thought so that you make the same choice, that you do the same thing, you create the same experience.
Comfortable, this is familiar.
Get back to the same feeling of suffering. That feels so much better than the uncertainty of the unknown. So going from the old self to the new self and crossing that river literally is a neurological, it's a biological, it's a chemical, it's a hormonal, it's a genetic death of the old self. That's the phoenix. Our job then is to take all of our attention off our body, off our environment and time, and really move to a place where we're conscious of nothing but you as an awareness. And when you do that, that point of where you become pure consciousness is the door to the quantum field.
Wow.
That's where we start interacting with different energies and frequencies. So we use this model to help people understand that the closer you get to source, if you're vibrating at this frequency as pure consciousness and you're creating from here, there's less separation between you as your individual consciousness and oneness. If there's less separation between 2 points of consciousness and you're creating from the field, it should appear in three-dimensional reality in a shorter amount of time. Down here, there's a lot of separation. It's just going to take you a long time to create what you want, right? So getting beyond yourself and becoming pure consciousness, there's a whole unlearning process that has to go on. Why? Because we're still programmed to believe when we're in that void or in that vacuum, in that nothing, in the emptiness, we actually believe there's Louis or Joe Dispenza, I'm here, and then there's the vacuum and the void here, and you still believe you're separate. And that is a whole unlearning process that has to go on to realize that you're a thought, you're an awareness there. And in that state, if you're truly there, aware of nothing but you, and if you're creating from that place, your thought actually produces a frequency. And if you can feel the frequency of the thought, in other words, the thought of your abundance in the 5D reality produces the feeling of abundance,
Yes.
of worthiness. Your thought of your wealth in three-dimensional reality produces the feeling of lack of not having it. So when we create from the field, we have to create from the state where we feel the feeling of the event before it occurs. In the quantum, you have to feel it first to experience it in three-dimensional reality. So change the information in the field, you change the hologram. This is all a hologram. You're going to change the projection in three-dimensional reality. So we teach people how to practice with brain and heart coherence to change more information in the field, keep changing the information in the field, get closer and closer to source. This is the greater mind. You don't have to worry about when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen or try to predict it. It's none of your business.
Right. And you already feel good too.
Yeah, you're creating from wholeness.
Right.
You're creating from wholeness instead of from lack. And so when you start synchronizing your energy in the proper way, and you keep inputting into the field, then you start seeing the synchronicities in your life. You know, I'm not talking about a parking space. I'm talking about like opportunities. Like, and you're like, well, whatever I just did this morning, I'm going back tomorrow. I'm doing it again because I believe now that I'm the creator, and that is what actually enhances the outcome, right? So people in this work, they do the work because they don't want the magic to end, right?